Hey everybody, it's Ben Capozzi with Broad Shoulders Farm. Today is Tuesday, April 6th, 2021, and I just wanted to show you, calling it the 3-hour brooder, because that's about how much time I spent on it. And it's pretty specific in terms of the materials that I had and the situation that I had. But maybe it'll give you some ideas for something that may work on your farm. Just a little background. Because the electricity on the farm is not necessarily reliable, and because I'm no longer living here 24/7, I'm really paranoid about a fire event, about the brooders catching fire, the lamps catching fire. And so I was really hesitant to do any chicks this year. I can't bring any more chicks to the house to brood. But we have some really good friends, Matt and Kimberly, who were kind enough to offer to brood them at their place. They've got a really nice outdoor chicken run with electricity and a separate space that they could use for brooding. And they could check on them twice a day because it's at their home. So it was really, really generous of them. So the chicks shipped the week of March 8th. And, I told Matt and Kimberly I just needed to take care of them long enough for me to get something set up here at the farm that would work with passive heat and for the weather to break and keep them okay. So it turned out that they needed to be gone this weekend, this Easter weekend. So chicks were just about 4 weeks old. And the weather had been going great. And then we had just a couple nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where the weather was going to be in the mid to upper 30s. So that was really going to make it tricky. But I picked up the birds on Sunday morning from Matt and Kimberly, took them away from their lamps and their heated brooder and brought them out here to the farm. I actually kept them in the car while I worked on putting something together for them. Lots of times with a farm, there's lots of moving parts and things don't go as smoothly as you hope. But it just happened where this was the weekend I needed to move them, and these were the resources that I had available. So let me flip the camera around and I'll just kind of walk you through what I set up. Again, if you follow the farm on any of our social media accounts, you know that everything here is a mess. The old duck barn blew over for the third and final time, but happily you can see behind me the new duck barn is all set up. And I got the fencing set up so the ducks and the geese can now be kept out of the market garden. And I'm actually working on planning that today, but I'm taking a little break to do this video on just kind of a quick brooder that I improvised. It's nothing fancy and it's pretty rugged, but it does the trick, and it takes care of the birds for now so that I can move on to the work of planting, because I got to get this garden going. All right, I'll flip the camera around and show you what I came up with. Okay, so this is it. This is the 3-hour brooder. I only needed to take care of 23 chicks. And a lot of this was kind of already here. So I already had this platform that used to have a roof, but we cannibalized the roof to work on the duck barn. So that went away. And but I still had this platform, and I was going to take it apart, and I was like, well, wait a minute, it actually can work really well, because as all our stuff, I tried it. The new duck barn is the exception here. Otherwise, everything faces south for maximum southern exposure. So that was good. I needed something that would keep the chicks warm. I didn't need a whole lot of space. So these are just sheets of OSB board. You can see they're filthy. They're completely recycled from the junk of the old duck and goose barn. There's still plenty over there. There's still some of it there. So I mean, I'm really just working with scrap here. But I put an angled roof on it. And because we had those cold nights, I was concerned that it was going to get a little too cold. So I built like this little greenhouse area for them to soak up lots of sun in the morning and in the evening. And I just sealed that with, I just had some good, I think this is 3 or 4 mil, maybe 6 mil clear plastic. I used a bunch of again, just recycled boards and stuff that I had lying around here. One thing that I decided to do to continue to absorb heat rather than reflect it, is I lined the whole thing with this. I just had some extra black silage tarp, so it sits in here like a trough, and it comes out the front and the back. And towards the evening, when it's starting to get cold, I can fold the extra up over the front and over the back and allow it to soak up a little bit more sunlight and heat before night comes. They've been in this since Sunday. It's Tuesday. The first real test was that Sunday night. So no heat, 23 birds, probably, what have we got here? 32 square feet. I'd say it's 4x8 or 3x8, say it's 24 square feet. I was nervous as all get out checking on that next morning, but they came through absolutely fine. So they were just great. Again, I had extra material lying around the farm. I put this back because you don't want them to get too hot, which is actually the concern now, because I mean today we're getting up into the 80s. But I had this old screen that I'd framed in from a previous brooder, so I put that there. I stiffened up one of the corners because it was a little rickety. They are doing really great. And of course, access. You always got to think about access. So I thought about access and ventilation. So for ventilation, there's an awful lot of air that can come and go there. I don't want them to get too stuffy. Obviously, that can kill just as much as cold can if you get them too hot. I drilled holes in this wood all over the side. I think it's a 1/2-inch bit. I didn't want to use anything larger because even though we haven't seen snakes yet, now that I think we're past freezing weather, we may still get a freeze, but generally over the hump for freezes, and the weather's just warm for the next like 2 weeks from everything I can see. I do feel that now it's only a matter of time before we see snakes on the farm again this time of year. So the black snakes will be out. So I just kind of wanted to minimize points of entry for them. But this brooder is not by any stretch of the imagination snake proof. I would do things a lot differently if I was worried about possums or raccoons or snakes or weasels getting in here. But I'm not too worried about it because this is in the middle of the duck and the goose run. Ellis is in here at night, so there's no large predators that I'm worried about. But a snake, as it is right now, could definitely get in here if it needed to or wanted to. So that's a concern. But in terms of how I get in here, because I don't know if you've ever built a brooder or any sort of structure so clever that even you can't get into it to use it practically. So I wanted to make sure that I had access and a hinge and all that. So here is the access. Hi, little ones. So I told you that I put in the black silage tarp like a trough, and then I put about 6 to 7 inches of hay, and I had half a bag of pine shavings. So I added all that to the ground. I've been giving them fresh greens, which they've never had before. I changed their water every day, so they got fresh water this morning. It's nice and cool from the well. They've got 2 trays back there for their chick starter feed. And I check on them a couple times a day. Nobody is panting. Nobody is huddling up in the corner, seems cold. This actually does have 5 birds that are from an even earlier generation. They were hatched, I think February 18th or 20th or so. So there are mixed groups in here. There's birds that are about to be 4 weeks old, and there are birds that are about 6 weeks old. That 2-week difference in age, depending on your birds, can be a real significant problem. Even 1 week can be a real significant problem. But the older birds are gentle breeds. They're buff Americanas. And I think everything is going to be okay. I mean, the 2 groups have been mixed together here for, well, since Sunday now, so we're on day 3. I hear some happy chirps back there. Now, I do see some panting because I've got the whole lid off and lid open, so there's plenty of sunlight coming in. But this lifts out if I need to get in here to grab a chick. And, you know, now, is this... excuse me, is it weatherproof? No. Does it do the job of getting them protected from drafts, which is a big problem when they're little? Absolutely. No drafts hit these birds. They're draft free from all sides. Will it protect from predators? To an extent, but again, my situation is I'm not super worried about that. Between the geese and Ellis, I'm not worried about larger predators. Snakes could definitely get in here if they really wanted to. And like right here, there's a hole giant hole. I actually probably put another board right across there to close that up, make it a little more difficult. But I have easy access to it. I can get the birds, I can check on them every day, I can see the birds. They're soaking up tons of passive heat from the sun, as well as a little bit at night, and then I can give them shade during the day so that they don't get too hot. What else about this thing? Like I said, it's very specific, but it may give you some ideas for something if you need to set up a brooder. Again, they're about a month old now, some are a little over a month, and they are a-okay. So I've been pretty pleased with it. It does what I need to do. In another 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to go out onto pasture in a chicken tractor to start being integrated with their flock. Generally 6, 8, 10 weeks you can start doing that. So this is definitely not their home for more than 3 weeks, let's say 4 weeks at most. I think by then it'll be pretty darn crowded. But they were reared in these big totes. So over there, they're not that big. So 23 from McMurray Hatchery were in the one tote, and then the 5 Americanas from a private breeder were in the other tote. So it was definitely time to get them out. They're much happier. I can give them fresh greens here at the farm. They can hear the other birds. These are all vaccinated. They're all vaccinated for Merrick's, which is a real killer in general. And we've definitely had our Merrick's outbreak, so no more non-vaccinated birds on the farm. I feel like there was something else I was going to say. Oh, so yeah, this is great as long as the weather's nice. What about if it's going to rain? So I've still got the platform up here, the 4 posts from where this was a platform for Ellis. I think I can very easily take a sheet of the 4x8 plywood, rest it back on top on all 4 corners, and then drape a tarp over it. And I'm good to go to keep the rainwater out of their area. So, highly specific scenario, but the things that I was thinking about as I was making it were, I need to get it together fast. I need it to hold heat without cooking the birds, so it needs ventilation, but it also needs to be able to keep the birds warm. So the really deep hay and pine shavings, I think, helps keep them warm. It also, of course, helps absorb moisture from them pooping it up and spilt water and wet feed and all that. I like the little solarium down here, the little sunspot in the evening. As things are starting to cool down, they really run down there, and they sit in there and they cook their little selves, and they seem quite happy. But they can also go to the back where it's a lot more spacious. So I hope that you found something here helpful that may help you in your quest for improvising if you need to put together a brooder pretty quickly. Questions, concerns, comments, always welcome. I'll do another video coming up about the breeds that are in here. People seem to like it when I talk about what I've got, what I'm adding, why, and where they came from. So that's coming up. Wherever you are, I hope that you are staying healthy. Please continue to do so. I hope that you and all your loved ones are well. You can follow the farm at Broad Shoulders Farm on Facebook and Instagram, as well as here on the YouTube channel. Take care. Bye-bye.